If you noticed the sudden hike in egg costs recently, you are not alone. I haven't even been able to find eggs in most of my local grocery stores as of late. And when I do, they're at record high prices. You've probably heard the common culprits of supply chain disruptions and inflation to ongoing avian flu outbreaks. But what's really behind the situation? You'll have to follow the money to find out. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what I mean. I just watched an incredible interview on Dr. Eric Berg's channel featuring Dr. Clayton Baker, a doctor of internal medicine with over 25 years of experience who shared alarming insider information about the current situation. He also explained in detail on how it's impacting all the egg prices. I felt I needed to share what I learned in that video with all of you because it really opened my eyes to what could be going on with one of my all-time favorite carnivore foods and what it means for the future. According to Dr. Baker, what is happening now with bird flu closely resembles the chain of events we saw during the recent pandemic. So is this just an unfortunate accident or something more manufactured?
What is going on now with bird flu is very close to an exact replay of what happened with COVID.
We can see some alarming parallels here. Before the Trump administration took office, there were already moves to approve animal vaccines for bird flu. A significant grant was given to develop mRNA-based vaccines for poultry. Sound familiar? He suspects that the motive seems to revolve around gaining control, much like what we saw during the recent pandemic, where the sheer fear and panic that ensued led to widespread lockdowns and mandates that took away our ability to choose. What's happening with bird flu reports, and what could this have to do with control?
The shortage is because they're being mass slaughtered if there's even one or two or a small number of positive tests.
Dr. Baker shared that part of the problem lies in the mass slaughtering policies enacted due to positive tests. Imagine the chaos of having to kill thousands of birds, sometimes entire farms, just because a few chickens tested positive. And so, the egg shortage is not solely due to birds getting sick. It's mainly driven by these mass slaughtering practices. Think about it. Millions of chickens are put down because of just one or two positive tests, which are known to yield false positives. When entire farms are wiped out, it doesn't take long for supply chains to feel the strain. Fewer eggs on the market lead to higher prices, which directly impacts consumers who are already struggling with rising food costs. But it gets even more alarming than that. This mass slaughtering not only affects egg prices, but also evokes a broader sense of fear and uncertainty among farmers and consumers alike. Just imagine you're a farmer whose livelihood depends on your flock. Now imagine the threat of losing their entire flock due to just one positive test. Wouldn't you feel an insane amount of pressure to comply by whatever recommendations are given to you, even if they don't align with your best interests? This fear can lead to a lack of trust in the agricultural system and, more importantly, restrict a farmer's ability to maintain autonomy in their operations. To go off on a bit of a related tangent, I personally learned last week that my favorite raw dairy products are no longer being carried by the only chain grocer I knew of that offered it. Sprouts. This was such a huge, devastating disappointment for me and many of us sensitive carnivores who do respond so well to raw, unpasteurized dairy that was readily accessible even a month ago. It is extra obvious that the discontinuation was not by choice because the raw dairy toppers have always been a great seller for Sprouts. Something else that's hugely helpful for a lot of new carnivores that is still available for you is a high-quality electrolyte supplement. What is the purpose of electrolytes? If you're new to carnivore, you are struggling with adaptation symptoms such as headaches, muscle cramping, lower energy than usual, electrolytes can absolutely help you get over that initial adaptation hump. For all of you looking for a convenient, high-quality brand, this one right here is the brand that I recommend from Element. Only specifically this teal colored box labeled raw unflavored. This teal colored raw unflavored option never contains stevia, sugar, or any additives except for the three electrolytes that we need: sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Now, if you're sensitive to store-bought electrolytes, I've shown you how to make them yourself in a recent video that you can find right here. But if you're one of those carnivores that is always in a pinch for time, or you just don't want to go through the trouble, Element is a great option. This is what the little packets look like. You just rip one open, pour it in whatever you're drinking, mix it up, drink it down, and you're good to go. You all can get a free sample pack with any purchase if you go to the URL shown on the screen, drinkelementi.com/SBGAL. I've also linked them down below. So as raw dairy scarcity and egg prices continue to surge due to the decreased supply, how do you think controlling entities will respond to consumers becoming more anxious and more concerned about food availability? Dr. Baker suggested that things will only become more controlled. and strictly regulated in the future, concentrating power over food supply further and packaging it all as necessary action for public health and safety. If Dr. Baker is right, then this is an important consideration for our future that would affect each and every one of us, carnivore or not. So how does all of this relate to money?
They've got the government coming in and telling them, we need to test your birds, but don't worry, if they test positive, we'll pay to kill them and we'll pay you at least market price, maybe more, in order to solve the problem.
Dr. Baker shared that farmers are incentivized to report positive tests because they actually receive compensation for the birds they're forced to kill, essentially funded by taxpayer dollars. This would mean the very public that suffers from rising egg prices is also funding the destruction of their food supply. Furthermore, it creates a perverse incentive for farmers to willingly support the same policies that are harmful to their livelihoods and the food system as a whole. And just like human vaccinations from not long ago, there's a huge profit incentive for the companies involved in developing vaccines for poultry. As the market for these vaccines grow, so does the potential for corporations to capitalize on fear-driven policies that compel farmers to comply. This raises ethical concerns about prioritizing profits over the health and well-being of both animals and consumers.
This gain-of-function research has to stop. I've said in other places, you don't save Tokyo by creating Godzilla.
Dr. Baker emphasized that this gain-of-function research related to bird flu needs to stop. Creating risks for humans in the name of science isn't the way to go. It's causing more harm than good instead of protecting our farms. As carnivores and consumers, we have the right and responsibility to question these policies and advocate for transparency in agricultural practices. Our food system should be designed to benefit everyone, not just a select few at the top. Please let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section down below and where you think the future of food is headed. Thank you all so much for checking out this video and supporting my channel. I hope to see you in my next video. SPG out.